Even Helldivers 2, a game that's been lauded for staying out of real-world politics, is now finding itself in the crosshairs of Gamergate 2. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and what am I talking about here? Well, we got this post from grummz. I know people love Helldivers 2, myself included, and that by talking about it, I'm going to upset a lot of people, including my followers. But I think we have to talk about it and figure out if the community manager is accurately representing the company or not. So what's grummz referring to? Well, before we get into that, hit that subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I bring you nerdy news almost every day. Sorry for the last few days off, had some stuff go on, but we're getting right back to it. Nerdy videos every day, and I'll tell you exactly what grummz is referring to. Community manager Catherine Baskin. Now, notice the locked account, the protected posts. You know, I've not been blocked by her. In fact, I'm just finding out about her within the last 24 hours or so. And yeah, she's the community manager for Helldivers 2, Arrowhead Game Studios. Obviously, we see some pronouns and flags in the bio, which, to be fair, no big deal. You can have that as long as you're not going to excise your political will onto others. However, it seems like that may or may not be what's going on behind the scenes at Arrowhead Studios. So we got this from grummz. Were we misled? Helldivers 2 was lauded for their anti-politics stance by all of us, which is 100% accurate. You want to know why so many people have been falling in love with Helldivers 2, besides the fact that it's just a genuinely good game from everything I've gathered? Personally, not my cup of tea when it comes to gaming, but everyone I know loves it, and frankly, more power to them. I love when people can just get down on a game that they enjoy and not have to worry about any sort of external real-world politics infecting the space. And Helldivers 2 has done a great job about just removing themselves from that. There have been story after story of individuals trying to force and shame Arrowhead Studios into caving to certain culture war nonsense, and it seems like they've been, putting the kibosh on that and saying, no, this is just a game to be enjoyed as a game. Well, and then this new information comes out. Now Helldivers community manager clarified why they banned people asking for LGBT capes. It wasn't for politics, it was to protect the devs from the waves of hate speech which our staff was struggling with emotionally, and that they only ban the bigots. Now, of course, this community manager claims that they only banned the bigots, which they could subjectively apply to anyone and everybody that they so choose that doesn't align with their worldview or their ideology. Honestly, I don't know what to think. What exactly is the Helldivers community policy? So, here's the information actually from Catherine Baskin. Plus, Helldivers is pretty woke, dog. Well, first of all, Helldivers is not woke. Helldivers is not woke at all, but let's examine why she claims it's woke. Game was made by a lot of LGBTQ and brown people and black people and women, and it's a big satire of jingoism. Now, hold on. Being made by LGBTQ and brown people and black people and women does not make anything woke. This is what these individuals do. They either try to claim they know what woke is, they think, oh, all these right-wingers assume if a game is made by black people and women, it's woke. No one has ever made that claim, so you're either wrong or you're intentionally misrepresenting the argument, because all of us know what woke actually is. Woke is when you take modern-day political ideology, predominantly left-leaning ideology, and you force it into whatever your product is at the cost of the actual substance of the game or story itself, or whatever medium. Obviously, it doesn't just have to be gaming, but of course, again, this is what they want to claim, is that the game is woke, dog. Game was made by a lot of LGBTQ and brown people. No one gives a shit about that. The more people making games, the better, as long as you leave your own real-life political worldviews and ideologies out of it, which Helldivers seems to have done a fine job of doing in the development of the game. On the back end, however, it seems like this is actually starting to bubble up and fester in a way that's going to make a lot of players pretty uncomfortable. It amuses me they don't know that Super Earth is bad. It also explains a lot about the world at present. And Rama's Home said, didn't they ban people from their Discord for suggesting they had LGBT colored capes? And then this is when Catherine says, no, we only ban the bigots, transphobes, homophobes, racists, etc. are not welcome in our community. We had to restrict the topics in the Helldivers 2 general chat for a while because it was triggering massive waves of hate speech which our staff was struggling with emotionally. I'm gonna be real. I highly doubt this. Either Catherine is trying to play it safe and give the politically acceptable answer on X, or at least they think the answer is that people want to hear, or they just don't know what's going on in general. Because if they say they had to restrict the topics in Helldivers 2, well, that would mean they were restricting, which is what we as the gamers have been led to believe, which is all political discourse. And let's be real, adding these LGBTQ and trans capes and stuff like that would have definitely been a sign of ideology, because nobody cares one way or the other. We don't need that sort of stuff in our video games. We are advocating to get that crap out of video games. We see the political discourse and dialogue and frankly division all day, every day in the real world. There should be it has no place in a game where you're just killing alien bugs. Like, let's be real. It just doesn't need to be there for that. That's not what the game is for, and it's not like you're going to drive up sales by adding it to the game. So when you say that they restricted the topics in Helldivers 2, if you were just restricting, by all means, all political topics, including this, and including stuff on the right, hey, your boy's happy. I would love nothing more, absolutely nothing more, than for video games, just if you're going to have a community manager and you're going to just blanket ban real world politics, that is what we are advocating for. That is what I want. I don't need to go into your Discord and see people advocating for 2A and for freedom of speech and how this game is so important for our rights as right-wingers. Like, no, that's fucking retarded. Nobody is asking for that either. However, it's amazing to me that there's even more context to this. There's more that this individual says, which I'll go ahead and open in a new tab so you can see it better. These are some old tweets, some from the 2020, some from 2023, some very recent. I also don't like the terms casual and hardcore because they come with the implication that skill equals passion. In a lot of instances, skill does equal passion. Those words are something gamers cling to, but they are being rendered meaningless as games become more accessible, inclusive, and experimental. Now, it's language like this that makes me wonder about you, because again, if you want to have these beliefs, if you want to hold these beliefs, then by all means, you're allowed to hold them. Nobody's saying you can't. I personally find them to be retarded beliefs, retarded beyond belief, honestly, but as long as you're not going to use that to impact the creation of the game, then by all means, espouse whatever nonsense you want. I'm not talking much because it's not my turn to talk. It's time for black people to be heard and for white people to listen. I want to continue to do everything I can to help, including passing the mic. This is from 2020, obviously in regards to the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm so tired of games focusing on parent-child narratives, period, let alone male-centric ones. There are other relationships worth exploring in games. How many games, like I'm gonna be real, very rarely do I find games, at least in the modern age, that do focus on parent-child narratives, and the ones that do, I genuinely usually love. I mean, Fallout 3 and 4, for example, are some of my favorites because it's an intrinsically nurturing sort of narrative that people can get behind. A lot of individuals are parents. The goal of the human species, as well as every other animal species, is to propagate, so it makes sense that it tugs on our emotional heartstrings. But why would you want parent-child narratives? Why would you be so over them when, A, they're not a massive thing? I mean, just off the top of my head, Spyro, yeah, no parent-child narrative there. Jack and Daxter, can't think of a parent-child narrative there. Star Wars Battlefront 2, I mean, I guess if you want to say that Jango is the father and the clones are all his children, but that's not like, first of all, that's not accurate. It's also never explored in the story of the game. Give me some examples of the parent-child narratives that are driving you over the edge, especially because people like you are the ones that laud The Last of Us is one of the greatest games of all time, when it is very much a parent-child narrative, adopted or not, and The Last of Us, again, is mostly recognized by the vast majority of people as one of the greatest games of all time. So you got Fallout 1, you got Fallout 3, Fallout 4, The Last of Us. Like, give me some more examples of why you're so tired of it, why it's just such a burden to see this in gaming all the time. You know what? I like games with female stories. Oh, what a shock. The fat woman with a vagina likes games about females. Okay, again, is there only going to get worse, guys? I like women. That doesn't surprise me looking at the flag in your bio. I'd like to see more women doing things in games that aren't motivated entirely by men. Okay, play Metroid. Play Tomb Raider, games that have been around for ages that have nothing to do with men. It's why Jesse from Control Remedy is great and has a sibling story. I love game siblings. Plus, Helldivers is so there's the Helldivers is woke one from a few days ago, and then there's this one. This is her responding to a tweet that I find incredibly interesting. I think it's true that bridging the gap will have to come more from men than women, but I think the diagnosis of toxic masculinity only exacerbate the problem, causing further negative polarization. I can't find anything wrong with that. I don't know that I agree with it per se, but yeah, when you have an entire subset of individuals, both men and women, who just throw the term toxic masculinity out there, of course dudes are going to get defensive and be like, hey, that's a little bit unfair. You know, I don't want to get into a toxic masculinity debate here because frankly, I don't really believe it exists, or at least not in any way that is meaningfully can be added to a conversation about Helldivers 2. But the fact of the matter is, Catherine's response was, this part is wild. Just unchecking the accountability box for men completely. Some real big stinky opinions here. How is him saying, hey, maybe it's not conducive to a conversation to throw such, divisive labels at half the population? How is that unchecking the accountability box? That's just how general conversation seems to work in real world. If you want to have an honest, thought-provoking, forward-thinking conversation, maybe don't hurl insults that are deemed by half of society to be negative, impactful, harmful, the whole nine, if you actually want to have a good faith opinion. But again, this is the type of individual we're referring to. This is what Catherine is doing. This is why we have to, even for games we love, even for games that we think are doing A-okay and on the side of the culture war when it comes to not getting invested in the culture war, we still gotta look at the individuals in these bullshit made-up positions such as community manager. Because the community manager, these aren't the positions of the people, they're not coding the game, they're not hopefully writing the game, they're not doing hopefully the marketing for the game, they're not doing anything in terms of the functionality. They're there to, what does it say? Manage the community. As if the community of people that spend $50, $60, $70 on games needs to be micromanaged by some obese, sellout who couldn't actually make it in the games industry, and now they're trying to do it backdoor it as best they can as some sort of because you gotta know, Catherine Baskin was a teacher before this. She was a teacher in the state of Missouri, focusing on literature and poetry. I'm gonna be real. I don't think that's necessarily the person that I would have hired to be the community manager for an entire video game that's poking fun at democracy, war, the whole nine, the sci-fi genre in general. Like, is that what you would have picked up off the top of your head? Hey, a teacher from the Midwest focusing on literature. Let's get them to be the community manager for our video game series. It's a pretty odd pick, let's be real. But we know why they picked her. At this point, with opinions like this, the fact that she's a gay woman, okay, she's a diversity hire. That's what it is, and to be fair, this is nothing against Helldivers. Helldivers still a pretty baller game for everything I've heard, but now we have to be on the lookout to see how Helldivers is going to fare in the world of Gamergate 2, because yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if this turns a lot of individuals off, if this woman just single-handedly broke a lot of people's spirit when it comes to all the appreciation that we've been throwing towards Arrowhead Studios. But those are just my opinions. I want to know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at Bolt the Word. And please do subscribe. I am a nerdy news channel. I bring you nerdy news almost every day. And by all means, also check out the Discord. Become a member for $4.99 a month. You can join the Discord. You get to choose the articles I go over on a day-to-day basis. You get to choose videos for me to react to on my live streams. And it's just a thriving, great community that a lot of folks are enjoying, having great conversations, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. You can also use discount code VitalIdol, get yourself some money off of merch, and check out the Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon. But until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere, and this has been Words of Paradise.